Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. The most dangerous woman is the one who doesn't need anyone's approval to live her truth. In a world that thrives on fitting in, Sigma females are the ultimate outliers, unapologetic, unshakable, and a little terrifying to those who don't understand them. Did you know that only 1 in 16 women naturally falls into this fearless personality archetype? That's rarer than finding someone who actually reads the terms and conditions before clicking, "I agree." These women don't just walk to the beat of their own drum, they create an entirely new genre of music. They're not rebels without a cause, they're rebels with a strategy. And the habits they embrace aren't for the faint of heart. You're about to dive into the extraordinary world of Sigma females and discover the traits that set them miles apart from the crowd. But be warned, what you're about to learn might just make you question everything you thought you knew about strength, independence, and the power of walking away. Number 1. They thrive in the discomfort of truth. They thrive in the discomfort of truth because they know that sugarcoating reality is like putting a bandage on a bullet wound. It doesn't fix anything, it just prolongs the inevitable mess. Fearless Sigma females live by one unshakable principle. Growth only happens when you face the raw, unfiltered truth, no matter how much it stings. Whether it's admitting their own flaws or calling someone out on their nonsense, they dive headfirst into uncomfortable conversations others would rather tiptoe around. This honesty isn't about being mean or overly blunt, it's about refusing to settle for anything less than authenticity. If something feels off, they'll address it, even if it makes others squirm. And if they're the problem, they'll own up to it with a level of self-awareness that could make most people's egos run for cover. But they don't stop at acknowledgement. They work on it, because self-improvement is their personal mission. The fearless Sigma female doesn't just live in this truth. She demands it from everyone around her. Fake excuses? Out. Half-hearted efforts? Goodbye. She's not here to play games or tiptoe around fragile egos. People often find this intimidating, but deep down they respect it, because when you're with a Sigma, you know exactly where you stand. No fake smiles, no passive-aggressive comments, no guessing games, just clarity. This habit, though rare, is the secret weapon that makes them untouchable. While others hide behind illusions or avoid conflict, the Sigma female sharpens her strength in the fire of hard truths. It's not always pretty, and it's definitely not easy, but it's why she's always ahead, fearless, grounded, and unshaken by the lies that keep others stuck. And let's face it, the truth, no matter how brutal, is always better than living a pretty little lie. Number 2, they trust their intuition like it's a superpower. Sigma females treat their intuition like it's their personal GPS, except this one never says recalculating. While most people get tangled in overthinking and endless what-ifs, Sigma females cut through the noise with a kind of clarity that's almost eerie. When something feels off, they don't sit around waiting for the universe to send a sign in neon lights. They trust their gut and act, often before anyone else has even noticed there's a problem. It's not that they're reckless, they just understand that instincts are the brain's way of connecting dots too subtle for logic to catch. They don't need a PowerPoint presentation of evidence to confirm what they already know deep down. If a situation smells wrong, they're out before anyone else has even sniffed trouble. This trust in their intuition isn't just limited to danger. It applies to opportunities too. A Sigma female will take a leap of faith when her gut tells her it's the right move, even if everyone around her is screaming, "Are you sure?" And let's be honest, they're usually right, which drives people nuts. Their ability to act on instinct isn't arrogance, it's self-awareness. They know that overanalyzing can paralyze, and waiting for perfect clarity can cost you everything. It's this fearless reliance on intuition that often gives them an edge in relationships, careers, and even life's everyday decisions. They aren't afraid to walk away, dive in, or switch lanes, trusting that their gut will lead them exactly where they need to be. So while others are busy Googling how to trust your instincts, Sigma females are already 3 steps ahead, proving that sometimes your inner voice is the loudest truth you'll ever need. Number 3, they can burn bridges without looking back. When a Sigma female decides a bridge needs burning, she doesn't hesitate. There's no drawn-out farewell, no dramatic monologue, no clinging to what could have been. She recognizes when a connection, be it a friendship, relationship, or work alliance, has run its course, and she acts decisively. This isn't about being cold, it's about valuing her peace over the chaos of clinging to something broken. Nostalgia might tug at others, but for her, it's just a trap disguised as sentimentality. Toxicity, manipulation, or even stagnation, none of it gets a free pass in her world. If a relationship starts draining her energy instead of adding to her life, she doesn't sit around hoping it will magically fix itself. She'll pack up her loyalty, light the match, and leave without so much as a backward glance. For her, it's not about revenge or bitterness, it's about survival. People often misinterpret this as heartlessness, but the truth is far from it. Sigma females value deep, meaningful connections, but they won't tolerate relationships that chip away at their self-respect or sanity. They've mastered the art of cutting ties without guilt, knowing that hanging on for the sake of history or comfort only delays the inevitable. Walking away is her way of preserving her authenticity. She doesn't believe in fake smiles or surface-level relationships just to keep the peace. When she's done, she's done. And while it might leave others shocked or even hurt, she knows that sometimes the only way forward is to let the flames consume what no longer serves her. This ability to burn bridges isn't about destruction. It's about clearing the path for something better. Because for a Sigma female, moving forward is always more important than staying stuck. Number 4. They weaponize self-reliance. Sigma females have turned self-reliance into their sharpest weapon, and they wield it with precision. While the world seems to be waiting for a knight in shining armor, a helping hand, or even a nudge in the right direction, they've already rolled up their sleeves and started fixing things themselves. They don't believe in outsourcing their happiness or survival. If there's a problem, they'll solve it, quietly, efficiently, and without turning it into a public spectacle. This level of independence doesn't come from arrogance, but from an understanding that relying too heavily on others can make you vulnerable. They've seen how dependency creates cracks in people's strength. So they've built their own foundations, strong, unshakable, and entirely their own. Whether it's navigating career challenges, managing personal crises, or even fixing a leaky sink, they've mastered the art of figuring it out. Google, YouTube tutorials, and sheer determination are their secret weapons. This self-reliance terrifies those who thrive on codependency because Sigma females make it glaringly obvious that they don't need anyone to survive. They'll collaborate, sure, but they won't cling. They'll love deeply, but they won't lose themselves in the process. They're the ones who can walk into any situation and own it, simply because they know they've got their own back. And here's the kicker. This habit doesn't just make them independent, it makes them intimidating. People don't know how to manipulate someone who doesn't need their validation, assistance, or approval. A Sigma female is her own safety net, and that level of self-sufficiency is both awe-inspiring and a little terrifying. While others are waiting for permission, she's already built the life she wanted, brick by brick with zero handouts. Number 5. They live on their terms, not society's clock. A Sigma female views society's timelines the way most of us view spam emails, irrelevant and not worth her attention. While everyone else is scrambling to check off life's so-called milestones, she's over here doing her thing, completely unbothered by the pressure to conform. Marriage by 30, kids by 35, a predictable career by 40. She's not interested in playing by someone else's rules, especially when they don't align with her vision for her life. What makes her extraordinary is that she isn't anti-marriage, anti-kids, or anti-success. She's simply pro-choice, her choice. If she wants to start a business in her 50s, backpack through Europe instead of settling down, or stay single indefinitely, she'll do it unapologetically. She knows that life isn't a one-size-fits-all journey, and trying to squeeze into society's mold is just a recipe for misery. This refusal to conform isn't an act of rebellion, it's an act of self-respect. She listens to her own needs and desires, not the unsolicited advice of people who think they've got life figured out. And let's be honest, those same people often envy her freedom but lack the courage to admit it. Her life is a masterpiece, but it's not being painted by numbers. It's messy, bold, and uniquely hers. She's not afraid to take her time with each stroke, knowing that greatness isn't rushed and authenticity can't be forced. Yes, it might look unconventional, even chaotic to the outside world, but she doesn't care. Why? Because when she looks at her life, she sees fulfillment, not someone else's checklist. So while the world keeps obsessing over what's normal, the Sigma female keeps thriving on her terms, proving that the only clock worth following is the one ticking inside her own heart. Number 6. They ruthlessly protect their solitude even from those they love. For a Sigma female, solitude isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. It's where she refuels, recalibrates, and finds the clarity that powers her unshakable strength. She knows that without those quiet moments to herself, she'd be pouring from an empty cup. That's why she guards her alone time with the same ferocity a dragon guards its treasure. And yes, even the people she loves most can get blocked from her sacred space if it's what she needs to stay grounded. This isn't about being cold or indifferent, it's about survival. A Sigma female understands that constantly giving herself to others, whether emotionally or physically, comes at a cost. To avoid burnout, she sets boundaries that some might find extreme. But to her it's simple math. Protect her peace, or lose the very essence of who she is. She doesn't feel guilty about needing space, because she knows that her best self only shows up when she's had time to reset. Of course, this habit can be misunderstood. Friends, partners, and even family members might mistake her need for solitude as rejection. But the truth is, her love for them doesn't diminish just because she's not available 24/7. In fact, her ability to set these boundaries often leads to healthier, more meaningful relationships. She's not there out of obligation or guilt. She's there because she chooses to be, and that choice makes her presence all the more valuable. People who thrive on constant access to others often struggle with this aspect of her personality. They may see her as distant, but in reality, she's just fiercely protective of the energy she needs to be her unapologetic, fearless self. For a Sigma female, solitude isn't just self-care, it's self-preservation, and she's not about to apologize for it. Number 7. They embrace calculated rebellion. For a fearless Sigma female, rules are suggestions until proven useful. She doesn't rebel for the sake of rebellion, that's too predictable. Instead, her defiance is calculated, deliberate, and rooted in logic. If a system, tradition, or expectation doesn't hold up under scrutiny, she won't hesitate to break it down and do things her way. She's not interested in being a rebel without a cause. She's a disruptor with a purpose, and that makes her even more dangerous to the status quo. She's the type to question why things are done a certain way, and when the answer boils down to, because that's how it's always been, she's already plotting a better approach. Blind conformity isn't just unappealing to her, it's downright insulting. She values efficiency, authenticity, and progress, and if outdated norms get in the way of those things, they don't stand a chance. What makes her rebellion so powerful is how subtle it can be. She doesn't need to throw a tantrum or stage a protest to dismantle the structures that don't serve her. She does it quietly, confidently, and often without warning. One minute you think she's playing along, and the next, she's rewritten the rules in a way that leaves everyone else scrambling to catch up. This calculated defiance often leaves people stunned, not just because of her boldness, but because of how effortlessly she pulls it off. It's not about being difficult, it's about refusing to settle for mediocrity. She sees through the fluff and focuses on what works, even if it means ruffling a few feathers along the way. A Sigma female's rebellion isn't loud, but it's unforgettable. She doesn't just reject conformity, she replaces it with something smarter, sharper, and undeniably her own. And while others are still debating whether to step out of line, she's already miles ahead, proving that breaking the rules, strategically, is sometimes the smartest move you can make. Number 8. They disconnect without guilt. When a fearless Sigma female decides to disconnect, she does so with zero hesitation and even less guilt. The world could be buzzing with endless texts, calls, and notifications, but she knows when to put it all on mute. She doesn't owe anyone constant access to her time or energy, and she's unapologetic about it. Disappearing for a while isn't her running away. It's her reclaiming her peace. She doesn't bother with dramatic announcements or cryptic "I need a break" posts. She just vanishes, leaving people wondering where she went and when she'll resurface. Spoiler: she'll come back when she's good and ready, not a moment sooner. This isn't selfishness, it's strategy. The constant noise of the world, be it people's demands, societal expectations, or endless small talk, drains her. Disconnecting is her version of hitting the reset button, a detox for her mind and soul. People might mistake this for arrogance, but it's far from that. She values meaningful connections, but she refuses to let those connections turn into a 24/7 obligation. Accessibility isn't her currency. Authenticity is. If you're in her life, it's because she values you, not because she feels bound to answer every message or show up at every event. Her silence isn't a punishment or a cry for attention. It's her way of recalibrating, stripping away the noise, and coming back stronger. When she returns, she's not just present. She's fully charged, focused, and ready to engage on her own terms. This ability to disconnect without guilt is her superpower, a reminder that the world doesn't own her time. She owns it. And anyone who truly knows her understands that when she takes that step back, it's not a goodbye, it's a much-needed pause. Number 9, they challenge everyone, even themselves. A fearless Sigma female doesn't just challenge the world around her, she challenges herself on a daily basis. Where most people find comfort in the beliefs, habits, and values they've settled into, she sees them as fluid, ever-evolving pieces of her identity. Stagnation? That's her nightmare. She knows that growth can't happen if you're too busy holding on to what you think you know. So she questions everything: external expectations, societal norms, and even the things she thought she had figured out about herself. This habit of self-reflection isn't about insecurity. It's about a deep, relentless desire to keep improving. She'll examine her own thoughts, her responses, and her choices, looking for cracks in her own armor and spaces where she could do better. If she's wrong, she'll admit it. If she's comfortable, she'll push herself to get uncomfortable. She's not afraid of change because she knows it's the only thing that prevents her from becoming obsolete. While others are content to coast along, believing that their ways are the right ways, she's challenging the very foundation of her own thinking. It's not an easy habit, but it's what keeps her at the cutting edge of herself, constantly evolving into someone more capable, more informed, and more self-aware. This mindset extends beyond her relationship with the world. It starts with how she relates to herself. She refuses to become the person she was yesterday because the fear of not evolving, of staying in one place, terrifies her far more than any challenge the world could throw her way. For her, the process of becoming is the only thing that matters. Everything else, success, accolades, or approval, is secondary to the thrill of self-improvement. And because she constantly holds herself to a higher standard, anyone who crosses her path knows they'll have to level up too. Challenging others? That's just a byproduct of the work she's already done on herself. Number 10. They are immune to emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail doesn't faze a Sigma female. It's like water off a duck's back. Whether it's a tear-streaked face, guilt-laden pleas, or some convoluted manipulation designed to pull at her heartstrings, she sees through it with laser precision. She's not cold, but she understands that emotions can be weaponized, and she's not about to let anyone use them against her. The thing is, she doesn't just tolerate manipulation. She dissects it. She knows when someone's trying to twist her sense of responsibility or exploit her compassion to get their way. These tactics are transparent to her, almost laughable, because she's already 5 steps ahead analyzing motives while the emotional theatrics unfold. No amount of crying or pleading is going to change her mind if she knows the truth. This isn't to say she lacks empathy, far from it. A Sigma female is capable of profound empathy, but she doesn't let it cloud her judgment. She has mastered the art of discernment, knowing when someone's in genuine need versus when they're playing a game to manipulate her into doing something she doesn't want to do. And if you try to make her feel guilty for setting a boundary or saying no, you'll quickly find that guilt is a foreign concept to her. She's not moved by what people think they should feel, she's moved by what's true. It's not that she doesn't care about others, it's that she cares too much to be swayed by emotional blackmail. She values her integrity more than the temporary peace that comes from giving in to someone else's manipulative needs. So when people try to play that card, they'll quickly realize they're wasting their time. The Sigma female's ability to remain unaffected by emotional manipulation is not only a shield, it's a superpower. In the end, a fearless Sigma female doesn't just live by her own rules, she redefines what it means to live authentically. She's not swayed by the opinions of others, bound by outdated traditions, or trapped in the drama of everyday life. Her strength comes from an unshakable sense of self, a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation, and a relentless drive to carve her own path. Whether she's questioning the status quo, embracing calculated rebellion, or simply enjoying her solitude, she moves through the world with an unmatched fearlessness that leaves others in awe. For the Sigma female, life isn't about fitting into boxes or living up to someone else's expectations. It's about constantly evolving, trusting her intuition, and living on her own terms. She's the kind of woman who will leave you mesmerized by how effortlessly she handles everything, from dismantling social norms to disconnecting without guilt. She doesn't play by the rules, she rewrites them. And in doing so, she shows us all the true meaning of fearlessness. So, while others may be caught up in trying to keep up, the Sigma female is already miles ahead, blazing her own trail. And there's nothing more powerful than that. If you've been captivated by the fearlessness and unshakable strength of the Sigma female, then don't miss out on more of these empowering insights. Subscribe to the channel and join a community that isn't afraid to question, challenge, and redefine what it means to live life on your own terms. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Because trust me, you don't want to be left behind when we dive even deeper into the world of the extraordinary. Let's keep pushing boundaries together. Subscribe now and stay ahead of the game. Thanks for watching, Jules. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.